Right then, Forest faithful, buckle up, because what I'm about to tell you will have you questioning everything you thought you knew about this transfer window. 5 massive stories have just dropped, and I'm not talking about your usual summer speculation here. We're talking about European dreams becoming reality. We're talking about rejected bids that'll make your head spin. And we're talking about a striker who's about to make Premier League history wearing our colours. But here's the thing that's got me absolutely buzzing. While other clubs are scrambling around throwing money at problems, we've just been handed the biggest gift of the summer, and I mean massive. The kind of gift that transforms seasons, that changes everything about how Europe sees Nottingham Forest. You see that midfielder everyone's been talking about? The one who can unlock any defense in the Premier League. Well, something's happened with his future that you need to hear, and that's just the beginning. Then there's our number 9, the absolute machine, who's been banging in goals for fun. He's chasing something that only 33 players in Premier League history have ever achieved. And the way he's looking this season, it's not a matter of if, it's when. But wait, there's more. That defender everyone thought we'd signed, the one worth 30 million euros, the deal that had us all excited, well, let's just say Manchester City had other ideas. And don't even get me started on what the fans are saying, the reactions, the messages, the absolute scenes on social media. When you hear what's been happening behind closed doors, you'll understand why everyone's talking about Forest right now. Here's what I want to know, though, and I really want your thoughts on this. Do you think this window will go down as the one that changed everything for us? Because after what I'm about to tell you, I genuinely believe we're looking at a completely different Nottingham Forest, right? Before I dive into these revelations, smash that like button if you're ready for some proper Forest news, and comment below with your predictions for this season, because trust me, you're going to want to come back to this video in a few months' time. The first story I'm about to share with you, it's going to change how you feel about European football forever. It involves injustice, appeals, and a decision that sent shockwaves through the Premier League. Let's get into it. They fought it all the way to the Court of Arbitration for Sport. They issued explosive statements. They screamed about injustice and unfairness, but at the end of the day, the decision is final, and Nottingham Forest are officially in the Europa League. I'm talking about Crystal Palace, and their desperate attempt to overturn UEFA's ruling has just spectacularly backfired. Here's what actually happened, and why this is absolutely massive for us. Palace got themselves demoted from the Europa League to the Conference League because of UEFA's multi-club ownership rules. Basic stuff, really. You breach the rules, you face the consequences, but Palace weren't having it. They took their case to KS in Lausanne, thinking they could somehow convince the arbitrators that sporting merit should override UEFA regulations. The arrogance of it, honestly. They won the FA Cup fair and square, yes, but that doesn't give you the right to ignore financial regulations. The tactical implications of this are enormous for us. Europa League football means we can attract a completely different caliber of player. We're talking about $30 million in potential prize money compared to $15 million in the Conference League. That's double the budget, double the prestige, double the pulling power. And let's be honest about what this means for our squad planning. Nuno can now promise genuine European pedigree to incoming targets. When you're trying to convince a player to join Forest, being able to say you'll be playing Manchester United and Arsenal in European competition hits very differently to you'll be in the Conference League. But here's what really gets me about Palace's reaction. Their statement was absolutely scathing. They're talking about sporting merit being rendered meaningless and unhealthy influence. In football, the irony is staggering. They broke the rules, they got punished, and now they're crying about it. The most telling part, they're taking legal advice on next steps. So this saga might not even be over, but UEFA and CAS have both ruled against them now. At what point do you accept that maybe, just maybe, you were in the wrong? What really makes this sweet for Forest fans is the timing. All summer, we've been in limbo, not knowing which European competition we'd be in. That's affected our transfer planning, our budget allocation, everything. Now we can move forward with absolute clarity. Do you think Palace deserve to keep their Europa League spot despite breaking the rules? Or are Forest the rightful inheritors of European football's second tier? Because the way I see it, rules are rules and sporting merit means nothing if you're willing to bend regulations to get ahead. Comment below with your thoughts on this whole mess, because honestly, the reactions from both sets of fans have been absolutely brilliant. But if you think that's dramatic, wait until you hear about the €30 million bid that got rejected. That story's coming up next, and it'll show you just how serious we are about building something special. €30 million. Let that sink in for a moment. That's what Nottingham Forest were prepared to pay for a 20-year-old defender. And Manchester City said, no, we're talking about Rico Lewis here. And the fact that we even made this bid tells you everything about our ambitions this season. The structure of this offer shows just how serious Forest were. 25 million guaranteed, plus another 5 million in performance-related add-ons. That's not throwaway money. That's not a speculative punt. That's the kind of bid you make when you genuinely believe a player can transform your team. But here's what makes this rejection even more interesting. City are absolutely desperate for right-back cover. They let Kyle Walker go earlier this summer. They've been chasing Tino Livramento from Newcastle without success. And now they're basically telling us that Rico Lewis is untouchable. The tactical reasoning behind our interest makes perfect sense when you think about it. Lewis isn't just a right back. He's Pep Guardiola's Swiss Army knife. He can play defensive midfield. He can cover left back. He's got the technical ability to fit into any system. Exactly the kind of versatile player Nuno loves working with. What really gets me, though, is the timing of this bid. We're clearly not messing about this summer. €30 million for a player with only sporadic first-team experience. That shows a level of ambition that should have every Forest fan excited about what's possible. The financial implications are staggering too. With our Europa League confirmation, we can afford to make these kinds of statements. We're no longer shopping in the bargain basement. We're competing with established Premier League clubs for genuine talent. But City's refusal also tells us something important about Lewis himself. If they're turning down €30 million for a squad player, they obviously see something special in him. Matheus Nunes is expected to be their first choice right back, which means Lewis would have been fighting for minutes anyway. Here's the question that's been bothering me, though. If we're willing to spend €30 million on Rico Lewis, what does that say about our other targets? Are we operating with a completely different budget this summer? Because the James McAtee deal we're chasing suggests we're not done spending. The broader transfer strategy here is fascinating. We're clearly targeting young, versatile players who can grow with the team. Lewis fits that profile perfectly, even if City weren't selling. It shows we're thinking long-term, not just plugging gaps for one season. What makes this even more intriguing is that we're supposedly closing in on McAtee from the same club. City are obviously happy to do business with us, just not when it comes to their defensive depth. Smart business from them, frustrating for us. The knock-on effects of this rejection could be significant too. Do we go back in with an improved offer? Do we target a different right back entirely? Or does this push us towards promoting from within and using that money elsewhere? Would you have spent €30 million on Rico Lewis? Or do you think City were smart to turn us down? Because honestly, that's the kind of money that could transform our entire window if spent wisely. Drop your thoughts below, because what's coming next will show you exactly where that transfer budget is being redirected and it involves a striker who's about to make history. 89 goals in 263 appearances, 11 goals away from making Premier League history, and at 33 years old, our number 9 is running out of time. I'm talking about Sir Chris Wood, and this season could be the one where he joins one of the most exclusive clubs in English football. Only 33 players in Premier League history have reached 100 goals. Think about that for a moment. In 30 plus years of the competition, with hundreds of strikers trying their luck, only 33 have made it to triple figures. And our Chris Wood is next in line. The remarkable thing about Wood's journey is how consistent he's been across different clubs. 11 goals or more in 4 of his 8 seasons as a Premier League regular. That's not luck. That's not purple patches. That's a striker who knows exactly how to operate at this level. Last season was the perfect example. 20 goals when the expected goals model and had him down for 13. That's elite finishing. That's a striker playing above his statistical ceiling when it matters most. And he did it while carrying this Forest team to 7th place and European qualification. But here's what makes this chase even more special. He's not just hunting personal glory. Wood's goals directly translated into European football for all of us. His 20-goal haul was the difference between Conference League mediocrity and Europa League excitement. The tactical setup around Wood has been absolutely crucial to his success. Anthony Elanga gave him 11 assists, over 2 seasons more than any other player in Wood's career. Now Elanga's gone to Newcastle, and we've brought in Dan Ndoye from Bologna to fill that creative void. The pressure on Ndoye is enormous. Wood thrives on service from wide areas, on crosses and cutbacks that play to his physical strength. So if that Swiss connection doesn't click immediately, it could derail Wood's entire century chase. What's fascinating about Wood's goal record is the pattern. His best seasons have come when Forest have been at their most attacking. That 7th place finish wasn't built on defensive solidity. It was built on our ability to create chances for our main man. The milestone itself carries huge significance beyond personal achievement. Mark Viduka holds the record for Australasian players with 92 goals. Wood's already surpassed that, making him the leading Premier League scorer from our part of the world. Getting to 100 would cement his legacy forever. But here's the reality check. At 33, how many more seasons does Wood have at this level? This might genuinely be his last realistic chance to reach triple figures. The pressure is immense, the expectations are sky high, and every goal matters. The off-field developments add another layer to this story. Wood got married last summer, became a father in April, and signed a new contract that keeps him here until the end of next season. His life has never been more settled, which historically tends to coincide with peak performance. There's also the World Cup factor. New Zealand are expected to qualify for the 2026 tournament, which would be Wood's second World Cup appearance 16 years after his first. Imagine if he reaches his Premier League century just months before representing his country on the biggest stage. The competition for goals this season will be fierce, though. Erling Haaland is breathing down his neck with 85 goals in only 97 appearances. If Wood doesn't reach 100 this season, Haaland might beat him to it. Do you think Chris Wood will reach 100 Premier League goals this season? And more importantly, do you think he can repeat last season's 20-goal heroics? Because the way our attack is shaping up, he might need every single one of those chances. Comment your predictions below, because what's coming next shows exactly how we're planning to supply those goals. And it involves a Manchester City starlet with a very specific role. £20 million for a 22-year-old who's barely played Premier League football. But here's the thing about the James McAtee deal. Nuno Espirito Santo has a very specific plan for him, and it's not what you think. Everyone assumed McAtee would be competing with Morgan Gibbs-White for that number 10 role. Natural assumption, right? Both are creative midfielders, both love to drift between the lines, both can unlock defenses with a moment of brilliance. But according to sources close to the club, Nuno sees something completely different. McAtee is being earmarked for a deeper role, a number 8 position that would see him operating alongside Gibbs-White, not instead of him. The tactical implications of this are absolutely massive for how we'll set up this season. Think about what this means in possession. You'd have Gibbs-White roaming freely in the final third, creating chaos in those pockets of space he loves so much. But behind him, you'd have McAtee pulling the strings from deeper positions, spraying passes, driving forward when opportunities arise. The formation flexibility this gives Nuno is incredible. In defensive phases, McAtee drops deeper to help with ball retention and press resistance. In attacking phases, he pushes up to create overloads in the final third. It's exactly the kind of tactical versatility that got us to 7th place last season. But here's where it gets really interesting. This deployment could completely change our pursuit of other targets. We've been linked with Douglas Luiz from Juventus all summer, but if McAtee is taking that number 8 role, do we still need the Brazilian? The answer is probably no. The technical profile McAtee brings to that deeper role is fascinating. He's not your typical box-to-box midfielder. He's not Ibrahim Sangare with his physical presence and ball-winning ability. He's more of a deep-lying playmaker who can progress the ball through the lines. And Manchester City have been using him primarily on the right wing, but his best performances have come when he's been given freedom to drift infield. That's exactly what this number 8 role would allow him to do. Start wide, drift central, create numerical advantages in midfield. The timing of this signing is perfect too. With Danilo sold to Botafogo and Lewis O'Brien gone to Wrexham, we've been crying out for midfield reinforcement. McAtee isn't just filling a gap, he's upgrading the entire position. What makes this even more exciting is McAtee's age and potential. At 22, he's entering his peak years as a midfielder. The next 4 or 5 seasons should see him at his absolute best, which coincides perfectly with our European ambitions. The financial side of this deal is significant too. £20 million represents serious investment in our midfield future, but given McAtee's contract situation at City and his obvious talent, it feels like smart business. Sometimes you have to pay premium prices for premium potential. The integration challenge will be fascinating to watch. McAtee has spent most of his career playing Pep Guardiola's possession-based system. Forest's approach is more direct, more physical, more about quick transitions. Can he adapt his game to suit our style? There's also the question of immediate impact versus long-term development. Are we expecting McAtee to hit the ground running, or is this a signing for the future? Given our European commitments and the increased fixture load, we probably need both. The connection with Gibbs-White could be the key to everything. If those two can develop an understanding, if they can complement each other's movement and creativity, we could have one of the most exciting midfield partnerships in the Premier League. Do you think playing McAtee in a deeper role is the right call, or would you rather see him competing with Gibbs-White for that number 10 spot? Because the way Nuno is setting up this midfield could define our entire season. Leave your tactical thoughts below, because what I'm about to tell you next ties all of these stories together in a way that shows just how ambitious this Forest project has become. Part 6, Forest fans, reaction and season outlook. 4,500 characters. The messages have been pouring in all week. Forest fans from all over the world, all saying the same thing. This feels different. This feels like the beginning of something truly special. And honestly, after everything we've just covered, I completely understand why. Look at the evidence. We've just been confirmed for the Europa League after Palace's failed appeal. We're making €30 million bids for defenders. Our striker is 11 goals away from Premier League immortality. We're signing creative midfielders from Manchester City for £20 million. This isn't the Nottingham Forest of old, scrapping for survival and hoping for the best. The fan reactions to the Crystal Palace situation have been absolutely brilliant, by the way. Mostly sympathetic, but ultimately pragmatic. Rules are rules has been the overwhelming response. And you know what? That shows the maturity of this fan base. We've been on the wrong end of decisions before. We know how it feels. But we also understand that regulations exist for a reason. What really excites me about this window is the strategic thinking behind every move. The McAtee signing isn't just about adding quality, it's about adding the right type of quality for Nuno's system. The Rico Lewis bid wasn't just about strengthening the squad, it was about targeting exactly the kind of versatile player who can thrive in multiple positions. The Chris Wood situation epitomizes everything about where we are as a club right now. Here's a striker approaching his mid-30s, chasing a milestone that would cement his legacy forever, playing for a team that's just secured European football for the first time in decades. It's poetic, really. But let's talk about expectations for this season. Because with Europa League football confirmed, with this level of investment in the squad, with the tactical improvements we've seen under Nuno, what should we realistically be aiming for? European progress has to be the priority. Getting out of the group stage would be enormous for this club, not just financially, though that matters, but for the experience, for the exposure, for proving we belong at this level. Imagine Forest fans traveling to Milan, to Madrid, to Munich. Imagine the City ground hosting these historic clubs on Thursday nights. Domestically, can we repeat that 7th place finish? Can we push even higher? The competition is fierce, but our squad depth is improving with every signing. The fixture congestion from European football will test us, but it might also give opportunities to players who wouldn't normally get them. The Chris Wood factor could be absolutely crucial. If he reaches that 100-goal milestone, the confidence boost could carry the entire team. Individual achievements often translate into collective success, and having a striker in that kind of form would give us a genuine chance against anyone. The McAtee integration will be fascinating to monitor. If Nuno can get the best out of him in that deeper role, if the partnership with Gibbs-White clicks, immediately we could have one of the most creative midfields in the division. The potential is enormous. Here's what I want to know from you, though, and this is important. What does success look like for Nottingham Forest this season? Is it European progression? Is it another top 7 finish? Is it Chris Wood reaching his century? Or is it something bigger? Because looking at everything we've covered today, looking at the ambition being shown in the transfer market, looking at the way this club is positioning itself for the future, I genuinely believe we're witnessing the birth of a new era. Smash that like button if you're as excited as I am about this season. Subscribe for all the latest Forest news and analysis. And comment below with your predictions, your hopes, your fears about what's coming next. This isn't just another transfer window. This isn't just another season. This is Nottingham Forest announcing themselves as a genuine force in English and European football. The question is, are you ready for the ride? Next week, I'll be breaking down our opening fixture against Brentford and revealing which out of these new signings could make their debuts. Trust me, you won't want to miss that. Until then, up the mighty Reds.